1996. Todd, I think you've been with us now for about a decade in these shows. It's been about a decade.
Really?
I think so.
Is it
yeah.
really? Have we done a decade?
I don't think so.
Sure, you were probably there on 1986.
I don't think so.
I think so.
We got Todd Torre.
Maybe 87. Maybe 87. There it is.
As usual, it's a must. We can't do these lists no longer without Todd. He's got to be participating in the big metal year of 1996. Not.
Yeah, this is a rough decade.
Yeah.
To say the least.
All right.
Who's gonna make it? Who's gonna make it? A lot of back and forth.
I'm gonna throw this out right at the beginning. Going over our list and seeing all these different bands, I want to know. I find 96 to be like the ground zero of a new heavy metal wave. I think it started in 1996 based on what some of the bands on our list. And they were all searching. They all had their own unique style. They're kind of all searching to see what the next trend would be moving forward. So a lot of these bands that came up on our list, I was surprised to see how unique sounding they were. And that's what I'm throwing out there. I think 96 we're out of the grunge period, and 96 is ground zero to build upon to where we are today.
It's interesting.
Like when did new metal start? It's around this time, right? Or a little bit later?
The Beastie Boys.
I guess around this time.
It was the Beastie
Boys. New metal.
Well, it was like, rap and metal, and it was kind of like the birth with the Beastie Boys, and who else was it? Run DMC. And then it sort of transitioned into, I did it all for the nookie, and stuff like that, right?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Sure you do.
Todd says new metal, and you named 4 rap groups.
All right. But Alan, I think you're touching upon something very important, right? We're seeing, again, like you said, so everything's been wiped out. And then the grassroots is slowly building up with the new genres, and they're sort of growing, right? Mind you, there's still the traditional metal bands still out there, carrying that metal flag. But yeah, Todd, what'd you want to say? Sorry to cut you off.
No, just like Limp Bizkit. I couldn't stand that stuff. Hated it.
What about the Beastie Boys? No Sleep Till Brooklyn.
I like the Beastie. I like the Beastie Boys because they were, old school, and they had like, even though they were you had sampled stuff. I mean, they had Kerry King play on "Fight for Your Right."
Yeah.
And kind of like Eric B. and Rakim in the rap world, they used a lot of like jazz music and kind of like funk beats with like real drums and like real instruments happening, but I don't know, the whole like, other than like Stuck Mojo, who I really liked. I don't know if you know who they are.
No idea.
So Rich Ward, who's in the band Fozzy, the band he was in way back, was a band called Stuck Mojo. And they were like metal groove music, like really cool music. And, but it was kind of like a rap delivery, but it was like way ahead of their time. Other than that, I never got into the Limp Bizkit stuff and that whole.
I think it was a little later. I think it was a little later on, like next year or the year later, after,
but
right?
Yeah, but I mean, Korn was out at this time, and things were shifting, and you started to hear more down-tuned guitars. So I think this is around that time you start hearing them going from standard tuning of E and E flat, maybe drop D, into C and B and A, and like ridiculously low tunings.
Yeah, my buddy Giles pointed out a big thing. You had Black Sabbath who were dropping down all the way to C, loosening the strings a lot. And then you had the grunge era doing the same, right? They were kind of dropping the keys, dropping the tuning so much that it had that really heavy, depressing, big sound, right?
Yeah. Hey, real quick. You called this right from the get-go. So our friend Pat, who's Greek, says, so for today's episode, I suggest we abandon the topic and Jimmy can tell us about his trip to Europe. Alan can recite some passages from the Pop-Off Bible, and Todd can talk about his next album and Feta. And somebody else said, Todd should write a track called Feta, please.
It's a Tanvir. I saw Tanvir, by the way. I saw Tanvir in London. We had a nice little meeting right at Parliament Square there.
So what?
Todd, I think you froze. You froze. You're good now. Okay, you're good. All right.
You saw what?
Tanvir. Tanvir, where it says TMC, that's Tanvir. He's writing in. That's TMC. Oh. That's Tanvir. That's a guy's name. Tanvir.
Oh, okay. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
All right, let's rock.
Guys, this is the criteria today. I want everybody to think about this as we're going through the list.
We're going to put on our 96 hats. Come on, Alan.
Go on, Alan. Put it on.
I don't got no hat from 96.
No hat for 96. This is the criteria we're looking at.
This is the criteria you're looking at.
I'm looking at. Critically acclaimed in 1996. When it came out, it was critically acclaimed. Stood the test of time today. So you could put on the album and say, wow, this album is still great. Sales figures at the time, how it charted at the time. Was it genre defining? And was it an influential album? In other words, wow, this album was so great that so many other bands copied this band. And of course, the last one is, wow, that album was so great, but nobody ever heard about it. We could throw that in. Can we now throw that in?
Yeah, and we'll have some honorable mentions at the end.
All right, here we go. Number 10, guys. You ready for this? I don't even know if Alan understands who's at number 10.
Jimmy's already started to mess with the rules. I don't know what he's doing.
All right.
Okay.
I'm going to number 10 right now. Guys, it's Manowar, Louder Than Hell, and this is one of Alan's pick, Sentenced Down. So again.
Yeah, so Manowar is not my pick.
Okay, Manowar is my pick.
Yeah.
We're going to discuss this. So we're going to let everybody out there, okay, which one do you like better? Do you like Manowar or do you like Sentenced Down? We couldn't decide which one we should put at number 10. So I go, screw it. Let's just put both of them at number 10. And you out there decide and we can discuss. Alan, maybe you want to start off with your pick, Sentenced Down. Why did you pick Sentenced Down?
Well, I think if Metallica and Queensrÿche had a son who smoked a lot of pot, he'd be called Sentenced. Okay, that's the feel I got. I mean,
what if they just smoked Camels? Go ahead.
You know, doing this list, we get to revisit some of these bands that we didn't have the money, time, or patience for back in '96, and this is definitely one that I would have probably purchased back then. So I was nice. I'm glad I came across it and doing the research for this list, and I think it merits to be on the top 10 list and not going with older bands that like Manowar, that anything that they release, Jimmy's putting on the list automatically. So
I'll let Todd weigh in on. I'm assuming you heard Sentence, just at least a little bit of it.
I didn't.
Okay.
The brutally honest Todd with Torre.
Hey.
So what are your thoughts on Manowar then?
So, I'm not a big fan of Manowar. I think they're exceptional at what they do. But people have to keep in mind, I'm not a fan of that type of power metal. The very, I think it's the lyrics and just this like, we're brothers and we fight, and that whole shtick, I just personally am not a fan of. Seeing bands like that live is fun. In a big concert festival situation, it's a fun thing to watch. But it's not anything that I will ever buy or ever really listen to. And it's primarily because it's a lot of happy major chords, and it's that whole, to the end, and we're metal brothers, and I don't like that stuff at all. So for me, I really, that's all I can say.
This is how I look at. Sure,
you have to take off your shirt when you sing those those
Yeah.
lyrics.
You're going to need a bigger loincloth.
Guys, Eric Adams, one of the greatest vocalists. He could have
Yeah, great
replaced
singer.
Freddie. He could have replaced Freddie Mercury in Queen, if you ask me. That's how great of a vocalist he was, and still
He's a great
right?
singer.
He's a when you think about Manowar, you go, "Wow, this wasn't a platinum album," but you think of their influence. How many bands,
A lot.
how many clones have there been of Manowar? This album is just probably one of their strongest. They're anthemic. They bring in the crowds. They headline festivals in Mexico, all in Europe. They're headlining festivals in Europe. How many bands could even say that without even a platinum album? This is all word of mouth. To me, this deserves to be on number 10 because time has been very good to this band. You listen to this album today, I get it, Todd. I know the lyrics are not, they're a little cheesy.
We're talking 96.
We're talking 96.
We're talking
They're
about
the only
festivals
ones
in Europe today.
No,
Sure.
but I'm just saying that their music was so timeless that today they're selling out festivals. That their music created such an impact around the world, and
Yep.
this is a testament to their album. So I think they were the only real metal band to be putting out a metal album in '96.
Yeah, like I say, they're great at what they do. It's just not my cup of tea.
All right. Okay.
And to go to the Bible, I'm going to the
Okay.
Bible.
Go to the Bible.
Oh, here we go.
Yours is not even
Out of the
sentence is not even
Manowar
on
albums
it.
that made the top 1, 2, 3, 4. 6 Manowar albums that made the top 500. This one didn't make it. So to say it's one of their best, based on voting from other people,
Yeah.
might be strong statement.
Guys, courage. The gods made heavy metal. How much more heavy metal can you get than that? Return
Steel
of
Panther.
the Warlord. What? Number 1, Outlaw. It's like a thrashy speed metal track. Oh boy. Guys, all right. Everybody out there. Alan, I heard your album. I heard the album you like. Okay. I go, it's okay. It's all right. Did it create a dent in the metal world? Did it create a dent in the musical world? It's more of a personal favorite, I think.
Yeah, sure. Manowar won. I think you asked the listeners, the viewers, the question. Manowar won, but sentenced in the Bible. I'm just pulling up the Bible here. Sentence came in at what number? What number?
Nothing. 0.
384 out of 500.
Jeez, look at that. Crazy.
Okay, we'll go to
At least,
number 9.
at least it's in the book.
It's in the book. Crazy, isn't it? No one's ever heard of it, but it's in the book.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
number
don't
9,
know. I don't know it.
You got
Sorry,
another?
guys. I mean,
You got another? You got a firm choice at 9, or this is another either or?
All right, let's go to number 9.
and also
So-
like in '96,
Mm-hmm.
I was still listening to like the albums that I liked from, a decade, like the last 10, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. So anything else that was new that was coming out, it was kind of like, okay, yeah. And then I wasn't really digging. And so I was just going back into the stuff that I had been listening to. So I'm not particularly knowledgeable on albums that came in '96.
All right. Well, strange enough, Alan, it didn't hit all the ticks on the boxes except for one, critically acclaimed. If it's in Popoff's book, it's critically acclaimed sentenced, right? There was some sort of critical acclaim for the fans and from the critics, right?
And I agree with Todd. I was doing the same thing. I was listening to older material. I wasn't too interested, but it's fun to revisit some of these bands now. So,
All right. Okay. Let's go to number. Yeah, I think number 9 is also an either or situation. Here we go. You guys ready for this? Number 9.
Hold on, let me see what it is.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I know my pick for this.
Tool,
but go ahead.
Ahenema. I'm not even sure how you pronounce that. Ahenema.
this 9 or 8
Enema.
you're doing.
Number 9. Ahenema. 9.
Okay,
Cool.
I got a wrong list. You must have had a version 12 then.
A Hanema?
Virgin
That sounds like a pain in the ass to say.
And Virgin Steel. So 2 very interesting names. Virgin Steel, Marriage of Heaven and Hell, Part 2, and Tool. I mean, Todd, I'll let you speak to Tool and Enema. And I don't know. Which one would you like?
Hold on. Number 9, what are the options?
Tool and Virgin Steel, Marriage of Heaven and Hell.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking at an email you sent me.
Me too.
And it says version 10.
It was
Yeah.
version
And that's
11.
not-
Don't say the other one. Don't say the other one because he's
I'm
probably
not
going to say
going
it.
to. I'm not going to.
I'm with you, Todd. I'm with you. He's got another list. He came up with another version. So,
Guys,
my
let's
God.
deal with the version.
we'll
at
deal
hand
with
here.
what's in front of us.
Look, when it's when it's the metal voice with Alan and Todd featuring Jimmy, we'll have the list. So, okay. So are you asking me what I think?
Yeah, I mean, if you were to pick one, Virgin Steel versus Tool, which one do you?
I don't consider Tool a metal band.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Tool record is a better record than the Virgin Steel one. But if you're going for more of that, purist heavy metal thing, then obviously you're going to pick Virgin Steel. But for my own personal taste, even though I don't even like Tool. Like, I'm not a fan of. I've tried to listen to it and tried to love it, and they're exceptionally great at what they do. It's not my style, but I think for what they both are, I think that the Tool record checks that criteria more. That was a very big record, huge record.
Yeah, it was
massive. And I think that alone is a bigger record than that record was from Virgin Steel. But maybe I'm wrong. And it certainly sold a shit ton. And the longevity is totally there because Tool is selling big numbers. So that's my opinion.
Wow.
The Virgin Steel, I listened to it, and it's, if you're into that, it's really cool. But if I had to weigh those two, even though I don't consider Tool a heavy metal band, I'm still going to pick the Tool one because I think overall it's a better album.
Okay. Alan.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Ditto.
It's on me. It's you. So you don't want any of them, Alan. You just
Ditto.
There must
I agree
one
with
or the other.
everything.
One or the other.
Everything Ted's. I'm going with the Tool. I was surprised. I thought it wasn't something I was going to enjoy, but it was okay. I mean, a lot of the songs sound similar, but again, going back to '96, this was huge. They were a huge band then, and I'm going to lean towards.
Yeah, it was definitely something new to your ears, whereas the Virgin Steel album, that could have been from 1986, and I wouldn't know otherwise.
Yeah,
it sounds like something from that era, from the 80s versus 90s, to me.
I would say
it had a very
Tool ticks. Tool, like you guys said, Tool ticks all the boxes. I agree with that, but I just find it's sort of like Jethro Tull meets Nirvana, right? It's always that sort of soft to distortion. But I agree with your points. It hits the sales marks. It's a chart. It redefines music in a sense. They're still relevant today. They were relevant back then. People love the band. They sell out. But why Virgin Steel? For me, first of all, number one, they're keeping the metal alive, right? They're playing straight ahead metal. Second of all, I think their influence has been missed. These guys started in the early 80s, probably 80 or 79. They were the first prototype of symphonic metal. And what symphonic metal is? Playing metal, heavy, power metal singing, adding a lot of keyboards, a lot of different sort of changes, key changes and all that stuff that goes into prog rock. So I think they were popular in Europe. And then from Europe came all these other Nightwishes and Therion and all the other bands. So I think they played a bigger role in terms of defining a new genre, and that was symphonic metal. That's my opinion. They did not tick off charting.
You could have put them in 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, if that's the case. I mean,
no, I think they're breaking a lot of ground back then. They were breaking a lot of ground, and they kept going. And you know what? Manowar, even though they're cheesy with the, we're brothers in metal, these guys were tackling big subjects. And this album is the relationship between humanity and divinity. So I don't know. I think for me it would be Virgin Steel. You guys would be Tool. So we'll ask everybody out there.
There's debate going on that it was even released in '96.
Okay.
So just a little
Part one
sidebar.
was in 95. Yeah, go ahead.
Just a little sidebar. I think most people are going on the chat with Virgin Steel. Some saying Tool shouldn't even be on the list. They're not metal. So I think Virgin Steel wins this one among the listeners and feedback that I can read anyway.
Yep.
And look, for heavy metal, sure, but
it's a tough year, guys. It's a tough
two
year.
Options.
It's a tough year.
It's a tough year.
Jimmy's going to keep going until you both give in. Jimmy filibuster.
All right, so let's go to the Bible.
I stacked the deck. Go ahead. Yeah, check it out.
Virgin Steel didn't make it.
Oh, Jesus.
Tool, I'll let you guys guess out of 500 where they come in. This particular
50.
album comes in
50.
It's in the book, right?
Yep, it's in the book, so somebody considered metal.
I'm gonna say 35.
128.
Wow.
Okay, I was way off.
It's all right.
You know,
number 8.
Carlos has said Virgin Steel 5 times. He was Virgin Steel, Virgin Steel, Virgin Steel, Virgin Steel. So that I just want to point.
Don't make fun of people that stutter, Jim. That's cruel.
Okay. All right, let's see what's next on the list here.
Number 8.
Oh, I just had it.
I'm anxious to see what you come up with.
Yeah, so Jimmy, you got to tell the list because we're shot in the dark.
Okay. Actually, this is another either or situation.
Oh, geez, you get 20 albums in the top 10.
Opeth or October Rust by Type O Negative. Morning Rise. Right?
Opeth all day. This isn't even a conversation. Not even a conversation.
Okay, now I'm getting worried because I'm agreeing too much with Todd, so I'm starting to get worried.
So the Venmo went through.
Yeah, the check. I cashed.
Morning Rise. Opeth, Morning Rise, and what did I say? Virgin Steel? No, not Virgin Steel.
Type O Negative.
Type O Negative. October Rust. Yes, go ahead.
No, and yeah, it's tight. It's Opeth every time on that. It's not even a question. I mean, yeah, I don't even know what else to say. I feel stupid that I have to exaggerate or expound on it.
Again, this is my first listening to Opeth, and I'd rather eat razor blades than listen to those vocals. But the music is unbelievable, and I was surprised at how strong of an album this was. So.
Opeth does also sing. It's not all gutturals. Like, there is singing.
It's like 90% guttural on this album. You see, for me, Opeth, they come into their own later on future albums. And I could say, wow, Opeth's amazing. But I just find it's all scattered. It's all scattered, the musical stylings. Like, some folk. Some death metal growls. Some clean singing.
It's definitely... Yeah, they're very eclectic and progressive, and there's a lot going. There's a lot of different stuff. You cannot pigeonhole Opeth.
But I just find that they're just kind of this is their second album. They're not there yet as a band. Like, they're still growing and learning their craft, and they're getting better. And I just find that this album just doesn't do it for me. Whereas October Rust by Type O Negative, I think it's probably their best album. And I just love his singing. Peter Steele singing on this. It's just, wow. He just puts it's so precise, and he puts so much effort, and you can hear it, and you put it on headphones, you can hear how precise he is. And I just love the guitar tone. It sounds bizarre. And it's like, wow, this is something new. This is a new genre he's just created of some sort.
So there's somebody with the name Gas Masks and Hand Grenades says, Todd's wrong. October Rust is killer. Morning Rise is one of Opeth's weaker albums, to be honest. First of all, I don't know what I'm wrong about, because all I did was say that I thought it was hands down better than Type O Negative for what we're talking about. Now, if the person's saying I'm wrong about that, then they should have said that. But if they want to comment and say, yes, that record, while it might not be the best Opeth record, is better to them than the Type O Negative record, or do they think Type O Negative record is better than the Opeth record? So I'd be curious if that person wants to respond.
You know, it's amazing. These two bands kind of use the same sort of sounds. They're very, that folk sound. A lot of acoustic stuff going on. The singing when he does the clean stuff on Opeth, it's sort of very similar to Peter Steele. So there's a lot of mood going on both.
Do you think albums. Do you consider Type O Negative metal?
You know what? I think they're a metal band, but this is less of a metal album, right? I think they've had more metal. They're more doom, if anything, and they're alternative metal.
So do you consider Tool metal?
I don't know, man. I don't know where I sit with Tool. I don't know, man.
I'm just wondering if you can consider one metal and one not.
It's
because I don't consider either of them really metal. But then again, it's a hard thing to define, as we've done over these shows, where you say, well, they've got the distorted guitars, they've got the, you start checking off those elements, right? And you go, well, how can you say that's not metal? And so even that's a subjective thing. Yeah. It's very subjective.
Yeah. But in this era, 1996, this is what the metalheads were gravitating towards, right? Or this was being played. Or this was what was played.
Yeah, sure.
Right? All right. So Peter Steele, great band.
Grabbing for any kind of lifesaver that would get them into the metal community, I guess. So the good news is, boys, both albums made the top 500.
There we go.
I'll let you guys decide which one placed higher based on the voting for this book.
I would think Type O Negative.
Between who?
Opeth and Type O Negative, these two albums.
Oh, I think Type O Negative is higher for sure.
Okay, you're both correct. Type O Negative, October Rest, comes in at number 152. Ouch. And Opeth, Morning Rise, comes in at number 403.
Wow, that's a big... It's not like Virgin Steel numbers. At least they got some numbers. Yeah.
All right, number 7.
So I guess it's has it been decided? Do the people watching out there, do they prefer Type O Negative or Opeth to be our number?
I mean, they're saying
type it in.
Some people are saying, Type O is definitely metal.
Oh, I hear Opeth.
Oh, now Opeth's making a comeback.
Oh, here it comes. Here it comes. Type O.
Okay.
Lucha, come on.
Yeah.
Come on, metal.
Either say Type O Negative or Opeth, so we can decide.
Yes, don't write neither, please.
Well, maybe we'll go at the end.
You know what? I gotta say, Carlos, who wrote again 3 times Opeth. I'm not sure if that counts.
No, it counts as 1.
5 times.
Take it easy, buddy.
Okay, well,
I don't know. This is pretty split.
Okay, so all right.
This is pretty split. Like I don't know what's going to happen here. Like
let's go to number 7.
I'm surprised that there's a split decision between Type O Negative and Opeth, but that's crazy.
That's why we do these lists. Everybody's entitled to their opinion,
but only ours counts.
Carlos. Okay, so
I would say Opeth has a slight lead if I was going to base it on what I'm seeing here, because Carlos just basically stuffed the ballots. Okay, and by the way, listen to "Cinnamon Girl," the cover by Neil Young on Type O Negative's album. They do a great job. They just take it to another level. It's like they just take that song and just take it to another level. Beautiful song. Okay, here we go. What are we at, Alan? What number?
7, but you let us know what you put.
Yeah, I don't even know what it is now.
We're at number 7.
Yep.
I mean, I don't even know what that is.
Rage Against the Machine, Evil Empire. Now, here's one that I say, is this metal? Because I listened to it a few times. I'm like, I don't know. I know they get lumped in, but man, I don't know if this is a metal album.
Again, it goes back to, they have the attitude, they have aggression. Yeah, they're not singing in a metal style. I never considered Rage Against the Machine a metal band, but there are elements that one could argue, you know.
I mean, just looking at this
So-
album cover takes me back to 96. You saw this album cover everywhere in 96. This was huge.
And that was what was the charting on that album?
It did well. I got to look it up, but
Yeah.
it definitely charted. It definitely sold. We're talking about millions here.
So people are saying rap rock.
Rap rock.
Commie rock. Come on, dude. Somebody goes commie rock. Commie rock.
Actually, that was in Hit Parader. They used to call them commie metal or something like that.
I mean, I threw Jimmy a bone. I know he's a huge fan of Rage Against the Machine. So
I like Rage Against the Machine.
You got to put it on. Just so I can hear Jimmy tell us how great it is.
What is commie rock even supposed to mean?
Socialist rock, I guess. Or I guess.
Fuck yeah.
All right. So let's think about it this way. They released 3 studio albums of original material, Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah.
They had,
and they're huge.
They were big back then, and they are bigger than they've ever been today, right? I don't know. It's because they stopped playing for a while and it just kept building and building. I don't know. But the songs resonated with people. If you're on the left side of the political spectrum or the right side, you still could find something there to make you pissed. You could still use, it's kind of like We're Not Going to Take It, the song. It just connects with everyone. And I don't know, man. I just probably one of the greatest frontmen and the singer there. I know he's rapping, but there's an aggression. There's a certain style. There's a certain.
And you know what? Their lyrics and their message is great.
F you, I won't do what you tell me. You know what I mean? That resonates with everyone. That's a common message. That's a global message. You know.
Yeah, isn't that what Donald Trump pretty much says all the time? So
everybody says
the right can argue for that. And then people on the other side could say the same thing to the other side. So, not to, without letting go that Tom Morello has a degree in political science. He's not just some guy that plays guitar and just says whatever he wants. Like, the dude is very intelligent. And, I think they got a great
you know what? And, he also took the guitar to another, and I wouldn't say another level, but he brought it to another spectrum, I would say. An interesting, sort of, he plays around with sounds a lot on his guitar, right? Great guitarist. So I think they deserved number, Alan, 7?
7, yeah.
Does everybody agree or disagree?
Yeah, just use your fingers. It'll work out.
Evil Empire.
All
right.
Alrighty. A lot of people are very
upset about this.
It's 96, man. We're grasping at straws here.
People are dissing Tom Morello.
You know what's funny about Tom Morello?
Morello went to Harvard.
He was rebelling against the system. Now he's part of the system. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But anyways, I digress. Okay,
number 6, Jim.
Number 6.
And by the way, that album, Rage Against the Machine, made it in the top 500, but not for that album.
Okay. Here we go. Korn. Life is Peachy.
It's a really good album.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to say much about the song. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that was I'm the one who told you that was one of my picks.
Yeah.
Look, you can't deny that when they came out, they were really doing down tunings. He was doing vocalizations that you really kind of never heard before. They were not doing any guitar solos. But it was a very unique thing. And they introduced something new and a style and a sound that was new. That whether you like it or don't like it, nobody can say that, they weren't part of a band, they created a sound and a style that was totally fresh to our ears. I think it's a really good record. If you're into that style, if you're not into it, fair enough. but I think and I don't know what it sold. Can you maybe Google how it charted, what it did, what was the reception?
It did very well. It did very well. I gotta look it up. But Alan,
Shoot me right friggin' now. That was my takeaway.
okay. I'm kind of like I can respect what they've done. I could respect that people enjoyed the music and they're still popular today, but I got to tell you I can't get past the second track. I've tried so many times. I don't know. I just kind of I like singing, you know, and I find that this is more, as you would say, percussive singing, Todd.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's kind of
but
like percussive.
he does have, he usually will do that, and then it's weird because sometimes he'll do that on a verse and then open up on a chorus with a bigger melody, and then there's times where he'll do the opposite and he'll do something like that in the verse, and then the chorus comes and it's very staccato and choppy and percussive. But that what I mean, I don't know what the numbers are, but I have to think that was a huge album. That was a massive record in '96, especially considering the climate.
Yeah, if somebody could type
where did it
in, because I just can't find the list with all the information. If someone could just see how many albums it sold, I'm pretty sure it hit 1 million. I'm pretty sure it did well.
I'm sure.
Yeah. But like I said, I'm like Alan. I can't get past song 2, maybe even half of song 1. I tried. I really did try. But I'll tell you, my younger cousin, he picked up the bass because of that band. So it spoke to a generation, right?
Yeah. It was very inspirational to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Charts. So, okay.
While you're looking it up, sorry.
Yeah. It peaked at number 3 on the Billboard 200 and then peaked at number 1 in New Zealand. The album sold, 106,000 copies in the US in its first week of release. Mm-hmm. It went platinum in '97, January of '97. The same year, it was certified double platinum in the US in November of '99, and it has, as of 2019, it's sold over 6 million copies.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. And I'm sure they can play stadiums. Well, I wouldn't say stadiums, but festivals, right? They can top,
Yeah, it says that it received mixed reviews from critics. Anyway, look, Alan, you were gonna.
2 Korn albums made the top 500, but this was not one of them.
Really?
Wow.
The other two, for information, was the eponymous album, and the second one was Follow the Leader.
Follow the Leader was really good. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So it didn't make the top. What is that?
They made the Bible.
Folks, what do you think of Korn being on the list as number? I don't know what number was it. It was number 6. So what do you think about number 6, Korn? Yes or no? Good or bad idea? Let us move on, shall we?
Number 5.
Number 5. Now we're getting into it. Unless you guys don't know what we're going to be talking about.
We don't know what it is.
We're anxiously waiting to hear what you came up with.
There's 2, actually. This is an either-or situation. I figured we'll take 2 power metal bands and pit them against each other. Stradivarius Episode and Impellitteri Screaming Symphony. So
I added Stradivarius because if we're looking for that vein of music, they're both good at what they do, but I kind of prefer this album Episode to the Impellitteri.
Okay.
So same here. I agree with Alan. And look, I love Rob Rock's voice, who sings with Impellitteri. Obviously, Chris is a smoking guitar player. However, and I encourage anyone that wants to fuck with me about this, go Go listen to the Impellitteri album. Song individually, the songs are really good.
Mm-hmm.
When you play it as an album, I think the first 4 or 5 songs literally they're almost the identical tempo, same kind of intro, and track 2 and 8, I think, are almost the identical riff, which is very similar to Stand Up and Shout from Dio. So if you listen to those, there's really no separation of the songs. It almost sounds like kind of the same song, with the exception of a couple of them. Again, if you just heard one song on its own, awesome. But as a full body of work, I don't know how they didn't catch that almost every song starts with the same kind of guitar, tuning, the same sound, a lot of the same style, almost the identical tempo. And I was really blown away at that. And for me, that alone is a deal breaker.
It's so amazing because you're saying the same thing I feel about Stradivarius. You know, it's the same double bass drum, it's the same vocal line,
yeah,
it's the same tempo.
I hear you.
It's exactly identical, and I find there's a little more. The song's a little more unique with Impellitteri. I like his guitar shredding. I like listening to it. It's very melodic in the way he plays.
Yeah.
I like his neoclassical kind of feel when he's playing.
Yeah.
He sort of puts it in there. So if I was going to pick one, I would definitely lean more towards Impellitteri versus. I get what you're saying. But I find Stradivarius very generic, if you ask me.
I mean, I do get tired of the, that, I don't want to start naming other bands, but I don't think that would behoove me professionally. But there are bands that are that constant, that double bass the whole time, and it does get very monotonous. And look, individually, I really like the songs on the Impellitteri album. When I listened to it, that stood out to me more, and maybe it's because a lot of them, just started with sounded like the same kind of chord or tuning, or this intro, and then the drums came in. But I don't know. We're having to like rip shit apart that we otherwise never would. Like in our own personal lives, we wouldn't be, I don't want to say chastising, but this critical. But because we have to like try to make a show out of it, and
somebody has to do it, Todd. Somebody has to do it, and it's us.
Say hello to the bad guy,
Tanvir says Impellitteri is like feta made from cow's milk. It shouldn't happen.
First of all,
gotta go for the goat.
First of all, there is no feta with cow's milk. That's just fucking white cheese. So, but I get your point.
I mean, two bands that were more in the classic sounding metal, carrying the torch back in '96, and one of these albums, I should say, made the top 500. I'll let you guys guess which one.
I would say Stradivarius.
I'm going to say Stradivarius too.
Yep. Stradivarius comes in at number.
Let me guess.
418.
Wow. I was going to say 418. I'm kidding.
There you go. He nailed it.
Impellitteri didn't make it, but I bet you in the Japanese version of this book, Impellitteri is like number 1.
Way up. Yeah, for sure.
Good albums. Both good albums.
Yeah. Actually, to me, what I like about it's got a little tint of Boston, meets Van Halen, meets Randy Rhoads. It's got all, that's Impellitteri for me. But Stradivarius to me is like, oh, is this Halloween?
No, I get it.
Let's say it's bad.
I prefer the music of Impellitteri more.
Yeah.
But again, for me, it was the things that I said before.
Gotcha.
It was like really like just kind of a little off-putting.
I think from the people who are watching, the consensus is Stradivarius episodes. Or is it episode or episodes? Episode. So I think that is the consensus from what I'm seeing. I do not see as much impellitteri love that I'd like to see, but that's what it is. Okay, Carlos. Carlos, you can rate it 3 times.
Let's get to number 4.
Let's get to number 4. Alan's hungry. Alan's hungry for supper. Let's get to number 4. Jimmy, how long are we going to be? 45 minutes? My chicken is cooking.
Come on.
All right. Number 4. Guys, do you remember what number 4 is?
Nope.
Yes, there it is.
Halloween.
Time of the Oath.
Darker and heavier than his predecessor, Master of the Rings. But Halloween is back. 2 consecutive albums. This one's concepts based on the prophecies of Nostradamus. Intro, Uli Kush on drums, following the tragic passing of Ingo Schwarzenberg.
Schwarzenegger.
It was such a strong album. Actually, the Double High live album was based on the tour, so they were back stronger than ever after the disappointing Chameleon and Pink Bubbles Go Ape. So I think this reestablished them firmly as the band in the Halloween. Halloween is the band in the metal community back in '96. So that's my thoughts.
This is featuring Andy. When did Kiske leave?
He left after Chameleon.
Yeah.
So Master of the Rings was...
This is the second Andy Darris album.
Yeah, Master of the Rings was the first Andy.
Unless I got, unless I was listening to a bad audio, the mix, the vocals are buried. They're buried. The mix sucks. You can't even hear the singing. It's like you have to really concentrate. They need to be... So whoever mixed that
they were happy to go back with was it Tommy Hansen mixed that or recorded?
I think it was done on purpose, Todd.
I shouldn't say. Hold on. Let me retract the statement. Sorry. Yeah. Hold on. I shouldn't say the mix sucks. I should say the level of the vocal was buried. I don't want to say I don't want to trash the mix. I want to say I shouldn't have said that. I think the vocal is just buried, and it makes it really hard to listen to.
So Tommy Hansen did produce it, and he did mix it, and they were happy at this time to be back with him after going with Chris Tangarides on some of the previous ones. So they stood by him on this, and but I didn't notice. I listened to it before we got on. I didn't notice that. I got the CD here.
Unless it was like some bad audio file I got.
I got to tell you something. In 1996, with Tool, the sort of thing that they did when they were sort of mixing albums, they bring the vocals back to the same levels as the guitars. So they pulled back the vocals. The 80s was the vocals were up front. Then they pulled all the vocals back. If you listen to Tool on the headphones, it's just as loud, the guitar, as the vocals are. So this is like a mixing, I wouldn't call it a technique. I would say sort of a fad, where the vocals are in line with the rest of the music. They don't pop out. They're just in line with it. So if you listen to music in the 90s, that's what they were doing. Not all the bands, but many bands, right? So Lucha says, Blabbermouth headline tomorrow. Todd says Halloween sucks. I don't think so. He never said that. He never said that.
And I misspoke and said the mix sucked. The mix doesn't suck. The vocals are just too quiet. That's what I said.
Yeah. I agree with Alan. I don't hear it. I think this is one of their strongest albums with Andy. And I think the rawness that people hear was done on purpose because they were so polished from the Chameleon album and that whole Kiske sort of thing that happened, and the band broke up and they had to start over again. So they wanted to start off as a sort of raw, powerful, and they wanted to rebuild that sort of from the grassroots up again. So I think that's what they were after. They were after sort of like a very raw sound, and I think they achieved that. And there's great songs. I'm not going to name the songs, but I think 100,000 units sold in Japan.
An interesting side note: Steel Tormentor. At that time, Wyke was listening to Ripper Owens' Judas Priest, because Ripper Owens was in the band, and he wasn't digging as much as the earlier Priest songs. So he said, I'm going to write a song called Steel Tormentor in the early Judas Priest vein, so I can listen to it at my home whenever I want and get into what Priest was, the Priest that he preferred, rather than the Ripper Owens year. So
yeah. But me and Alan were fans of Halloween, and even in this era here. I remember buying it and I thought I was really impressed at the time. They were kind of like one of the few metal bands that were like raw, like real. This was heavy metal as we know it, right? As we loved it. This is like the Paul Diano of Iron Maiden heavy metal. So,
And did it make the top 500? Yes or no?
I think 450.
I think it made it. I don't know.
This Halloween album did not make the top 500.
It's in another book, the top 600.
Top 600.
Here's so I'm wondering of all, like what did make it in 1996 into that book? You know what I mean? That's what I'm curious about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll get you a list at the end time.
Okay. We're up to number 3.
3.
Okay. All right. Number 3. You guys ready? Todd?
Yeah. What's number 3?
Sepultura Roots.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a very well-known album, a coveted album. I think it was the last record with Max. Was it the last record with Max?
It was. Yeah.
Okay.
On vocals. Yeah.
Yeah. Went to like this, tribal-y thing, and it's a big record. It's talked about a lot still today.
Here's one that checks all those boxes. I think you mentioned at the beginning, Jim.
Yeah. It was relevant back then, just as relevant today, and it sold and it charted, right? And this is like the first album that they really concentrating on putting their Brazilian musical influence or the sort of their traditional Latin influences into the music, and you can hear it in the drumming and those drum patterns. And I don't know about the vocals, but they were more aggressive, the vocals. Yeah.
It peaked at 27 on the U.S. Billboard 200.
Yeah.
It's certified as gold in the U.S. at 500,000 copies.
Yeah.
You listen to a song like "Breed Apart," you can see how unique sounding this band was at that time. So,
yeah. I mean, they're still a big band, but yeah, I think it was definitely a worthy album to go on the list for sure.
Look, not one of my favorite bands, not one of my favorite albums, but I get it. It's just a big album, and I can respect that. I can definitely respect that.
So yeah. 4 Sepultura albums made the top 500. Is this one of them?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yep.
75.
But not the highest placing.
Let me take a guess.
Come in at number 170.
That's high. That's high album.
Yeah.
At a top 500. Virgin still didn't even make the book.
And Halloween didn't either, right?
That's right.
Halloween did not.
That's right.
Okay. Well, there you go.
And neither did Manowar.
But 6 Manowar albums did. To go back to your point of how popular they are, Jim.
Okay.
Let's get to number 2.
Number 2.
I think this has got Todd's name all over it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what number.
You don't know what number 2 is? Pantera, the Great Southern Treadkill.
Yep. I want to see what what some of the stats are on this. Hang on a second. Yep.
Yeah. Pantera. Like I'll start off. First of all, I don't get it, but I get it. I get it. I remember, to Alan's point, how Evil Empire was all over the record store. So was this album cover. You can walk into any record store without seeing this album cover.
Dude, it reached number 4.
All my friends love this band. I don't get it. I can't
listen
to it. I can't listen to it. I don't see what everybody says. Dimebag is one of the greatest guitarists. I don't hear it. I think he's a good guitarist. I just don't think he's no Eddie Van Halen. But that's just me.
He was very creative.
But I can respect what they've done, and I can respect their legacy.
He was very creative, very unique, cool style, very groove oriented. It was a powerful record. It went platinum, sold 1 million copies, so that you can check that off your cute little box. And again, in 1996, there wasn't like a lot of what was really going on. This was a big deal in 96.
Well,
Yeah, I think we established that in I think 95 or one of the other lists with vulgar display of power, right? We said that it was
huge.
a different generation, the up and coming generation. That's all they had to grasp onto, and boy, did they ever grasp onto it. I mean, even today, there's controversy about touring without the members and going out there. That's how passionate their fans are, and that's how passionate their fans were back then. So,
yeah.
I think
so
it's
I'm not going to leave Jimmy hanging.
I think it's the vocals.
I agree with what Jimmy said, but I won't leave you hanging, buddy.
Thanks, Alan.
I'll get vilified.
You know what?
With you.
Think of how many singers sound like what Phil was doing back then.
Everyone, so many. Like he,
so he was influential.
Korn,
he's the guy.
He's one of those
guys. You're gonna blame
a
guy, it's him.
Yeah. Somebody says no overkill, no lift. I love it.
Listen, I respect Pantera.
Hey.
If so many people love this band, you can't say I'm wrong, they're right. Or sorry, I can't say I'm right and they're wrong. My point is, I don't get the vocals. I don't get the aggression. And everybody keeps saying Dimebag's the best guitarist ever. I'm like, okay, he's good. I don't know. I mean, I'm supposed to like him because everybody says he's the greatest guitarist ever. I don't hear it. I don't see it.
Yeah, if it doesn't appeal to you, it doesn't mean that he's not regarded as a great guitarist in the guitar world, because he is. But that doesn't mean that you have to particularly like it, or even if you don't see that. Some people say, some people are like, Eric Clapton is like one of the greatest guitarists that ever lived, or Jimmy Page. And, there are people that like, and they would think about it as a technical thing and be like, not even close. But then you look at him as a songwriter and you're like, okay, close, So it depends on the criteria of what you're even saying makes a great guitar player. Some shred guy or somebody that plays like David Gilmour. Because I would take David Gilmour any day of the week over a shreddy speed guy.
I agree.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't tell you that 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So even that has, as its, you'd have to define what it even means as great.
I like Power Metal by Pantera. That is an album that I do like. But after the growling started and the screaming started, I don't know. It works for me for one or two songs, and then it sort of becomes like Opeth, just the grunts and the grunts and the grunts. And I find that artists are limiting themselves when they kind of do one thing,
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's only so much you can do. It's just like having just a distorted guitar channel and going like,
and then everybody calls you a genius.
Yeah, well, but when you have other colors and things to play with your instrument, now it opens doors that otherwise you wouldn't be able to do. So like when they did what is that, Planet Caravan, and he sang on that. But if you listen to we love Rob Halford's voice, but if you listen to songs like Heresy and stuff like that, or Shattered, the song Shattered off Cowboys from Hell. If you listen to Shattered, dude, it's like Rob Halford Painkiller style vocals. I mean, he's vibratoing like you like. He's hitting really high stuff, and he's like singing like a real what we like metal singing. And then when Vulgar Display of Power came, then you kind of forgot all that. Yeah, he quit doing some of the higher things like that. But
so what number do you think? What number do you think this came in the top 500?
Okay, I have a question.
Yep.
Is that so? That book, I don't have that. There's no Bible in my house. That book. It gives you, it's the top 500 of like how far does it span?
Well, it's whoever voted. I mean, people voted Uriah Heep back in '73 into this book, so or Queen.
Okay.
Or,
Okay, so we
but we
say
have to take into consideration this book. It was published. That's because there is a cutoff. It was originally published in 2004. So we'll throw the book away when we do 2004.
So 2004, we got to stop. Yeah.
So this is of all time or just of this year that it does that?
This is he did about one of the top 500 albums of all time.
So you know what he did, Todd? Todd, he did it statistically. He sort of went and he.
Yeah, it was a big consensus, and yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say 95.
Jimmy, you want to guess or?
I would say it's up there. I would say 65.
149.
Wow. Yeah, I thought after I said that, I thought, okay, of all time, I'm being it's probably high.
Look at this. Jimmy, Rachel here. Myself and my parents are at the lake until the 29th. What is that, code?
What does it say?
All right, let's get to number one. We're running overtime now.
Someone's at the lake.
Somebody I got a lake. I got to go to the lake, apparently.
The thermometer just popped on his little turkey cooking, so...
Todd is the guy, he saves the show every time. You're like Superman or something. All right. Are we at number 2 or number 1? I don't remember.
Number 1.
Number
Jim,
1. Say it.
That's what your fingers are for, Jim.
Mm-hmm. Okay, guys. You ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Alan, do you have the album in front of you?
No, I don't.
Okay, so I have to just show the graphics. That's what it is.
You go ahead.
Is everybody ready? Boom. Iced Earth, The Dark Saga.
Uh-oh.
Did it make your list? Everybody out there, did it make your list?
There's your number 1.
Yeah, quite controversial because John Schaefer and all the trouble he's in, but Matt Barlow.
Who cares? That's
what a voice.
Not even.
We're talking 96 here.
Yeah, we're talking 96.
No need to bring up anything else.
But he was just starting his chapters. All right. 96.
You know what surprised me about this? They're mostly all 3-minute songs. He was able to tell the whole story with only 3-minute songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and when you have few people that are singing like that, you know, Schaefer's like one of the greatest rhythm metal guitar players to do, you know, he can do that all night long, and it always amazes me whenever I see him do that. It's yeah, I mean, what can you say? My wife plays this stuff in the house constantly. This record is played at our house very frequently, and it was recorded in my own backyard at Morristown in Tampa.
There you go.
Pretty cool.
And
this is a concept album. A lot of people forget that, right? This is a spawn, and songs like I Died for You, The Dark Saga, Violate, The Hunter. You know, when Iron Maiden dropped the ball, Iced Earth picked up the ball, and they sort of carried on that sort of tradition of this is a heavy metal band, big concepts, you know, I wouldn't say big recording, but, you know, more complex arrangements, killer vocals. And like you said, Todd, this rhythm guitar was great. It's just
yeah. Everything's there.
Everything's there, man. A Question of Heaven. He's brutal. I mean, and he's hybrid too, Matt Barlow. He's brutal, but he can go
a lot of places. Yeah, for sure.
I think he did a great job on this album, particularly. So,
all right, and there you have it. Does everybody agree that this should have been number 1 of 1996?
Our choice for number 1.
Yes.
Is the lowest in the Bible, the lowest charting Iced Earth album.
Yikes.
But it does come in at
378.
Wait, what are we doing?
We're doing what the Bible
Iced
says
Earth,
about this album.
Dark Saga.
Ranks.
Oh, I'm going to put that in the 60s.
264.
Wow.
Yeah, not even halfway.
Here, let me show everybody the album here. Oh, sorry, wrong one. Oops, sorry, wrong one.
So I think we've established that bands from Amorphous all the way through to Nevermore, Neurosis, They're all trying to
Cradle of
discover their
Filth.
sound. Very unique sounding bands throughout. Our list, I think, proves that. We got the historic Halloween, as with other bands like Korn and Typo Negative that might, or there's one, Rage Against the Machine, but not even considered metal. So crazy times back in '96.
So what
So
else? Todd, do you
somebody's saying if you have Iced Earth, you should have had Manson. Not even close.
No, I don't
Not
see
even
the connection.
close.
You know, here's
I
the
don't
problem
either.
with Marilyn
I don't
Manson.
hear it. I don't hear the connection, but
Marilyn Manson was more image driven than he was song driven, and he, you know, like
so other
these-
bands, Todd, that made the top 500 from that year: Amorphous,
I would say
Elegy,
Cradle of
Carcass,
Filth.
Carcass, Swan Song,
about
Corrosion of
Cradle of
Conformity, Wise Blood. But
Okay.
I would have put that, but it's not. I don't know. It doesn't sound too metal to me. Edge of Sanity, Crimson, Neurosis, Through Silver and Blood, Nevermore, The Politics of Ecstasy, and what else? Oh,
Cradle
that's
of
about
Filth?
it. I think we covered the rest.
Was Cradle of
Oh,
Filth
Angra,
there?
Angra.
Angra Holy Land. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you, John.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
you hear
we
me?
can hear you.
Yes.
Cradle of Filth?
Yeah. Okay, Cradle of Filth. Yes.
Yeah.
Was that '96? Well, I didn't make the book. It didn't make the list. I'd say.
Is that what the question
Okay.
was? If it made the book?
No. No, it was an honorable mention, and then
Gotcha.
yes.
Oh,
it
there
made
you
the-
go.
Well, I mean, let's listen. Let's look at the texts here of other.
Sorry,
albums that
Todd.
we missed.
Cradle of Filth, Dusk and Her Embrace did make it. Came in at number 271.
Okay, there you go.
There you go.
I hear Gravedigger, Tunes of War. I
Seems
don't
to be
know.
a
Yeah, it's
popular
okay. Rush's Test for Echo by Tanvir. I don't know, Tanvir. Had some really good songs on it, but it lacked. There was a lot of filler there too, at least in my opinion. Merciful Fate, Into the Unknown. Look, I'm the biggest Merciful Fate fan here. And if I'm not putting it on the list, I think it kind of lacks. It's good, but it's not great. It's not no Melissa. Is that it?
We're not going to please everybody.
We're not going to please everyone.
Hey, it's not. We're not talking '87 here.
Overkill, their album. Look, here's the. I think it's their. Which one was it? Killing Kind. Is that it? I heard it. I've heard it many times before. I find that half the album is fantastic, and the other half of it kind of loses me a bit. They've done way better albums than that. Corrosion of Conformity is what Perrin's saying. I don't hear it. Joshua is saying Angry Machines by Dio, probably Dio's weakest album, in my opinion. Alan, what do you think?
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree.
Motorhead. What do you think about Motorhead's album that came out in '96, Alan? You're a big Motorhead fan.
I know you're the one that had it on your list
I
originally.
just put it on my list originally just so we could talk about it. No.
Somebody's asking if Soundgarden is considered metal. I
don't
wouldn't
know.
say metal.
I think we covered that with Super Unknown.
Overnight Sensation. That was it. Motorhead Overnight Sensation. I don't know. It's got its moments, but is it considered one of the best of '96?
Eternity by Anathema.
Never heard it. Deep Purple Perpendicular. It's okay. And Mike is saying the last song on Angry Machine is amazing. Yeah, it is amazing. But I mean, are we going to base?
Dude, I feel like we're the old guys up in the balcony in the Muppets. Just like trash everything, and we're throwing popcorn. And
I think Symbolic Acts '95 missed the beginning of the show because that came out with Sentence was one of the suggestions. So
yeah, that was Alan.
Oh, somebody's saying Annihilator, and then In Flames. And look, there's a bunch. Dimmy Borgir. There's a bunch of bands, but you got to cut it off somewhere.
Yeah. Well, the old guys have spoken today.
Mm-hmm. Here's the good news, everyone.
Yep.
You can build your own show too and have your own list. And I encourage you to do that.
Put your top 10 list on a T-shirt and mail it to us, please.
Oh, did we forget about this one? Man of War.
We more than covered that one, buddy.
We forgot about this one. Look at this. Look how cool that is.
That's the coolest.
Todd Latorre, your next album, I want something like this. Todd Latorre 2, Todd Latorre Made of Steel, something like that. What do you think? Just take your shirt off, you have a hammer, and just, I don't know, maybe
Dude, instead of being
a wrench
waterboarded,
or something, you have a wrench.
Instead of being waterboarded, they're just going to shove a brick of feta in my mouth where I can't breathe.
You break the feta like this without your shirt on.
Instead of bathing in a tub full of baked beans, you'll be bathing in a tub full of feta.
Olive oil.
Does this open up?
Olive oil.
Guys,
it's been a pleasure.
Hold this, wait a second. Hold on. Guys, I didn't realize this.
Oh, no, there you go.
It's a poster I can hang in my room.
I can sleep in it. You better put that on your bedroom wall, Jim.
And the lyrics for Todd.
Hey, where do you think you got it from, Alan?
Yeah, we're not judging anybody. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean,
yeah, if you read one verse, and you'll kind of say what I'm saying. Anyway,
all right, guys.
Hey,
thanks.
Todd, wait before you go. What's new in your world? Anything you want to plug? Anything you want to get off your chest? Everything new and exciting? What's tour schedule? Next solo album.
I'm working on new songs for my next solo record. I just got back from playing in Seattle, Washington, and I think our next show is Sturgis. So I'm doing things around the house, and with my wife, she's been like organizing a bunch of stuff. I'm kind of helping her a little bit here and there, and soaking up the AC because it's hot as hell. And then she's going to help me organize my studio and clean up out there. So I'm just doing home stuff, and saw my mom, spending time with Vader, and that's kind of it. Yeah. Little downtime coming up where we have flights like every weekend for like the next couple months. So I'm only going to be home, 3-4 days, then I'm gone, 3-4 days, and I'm gone. So it's my last kind of hoorah for a while at home.
Any big tours coming up yet?
There's some really great stuff, but I can't talk about it right now, and it'll be announced. Later. We have really exciting stuff that's
a teaser right there. That's a teaser. That's good. Yeah.
We have good stuff in the works. Right, for sure.
Hear about it. Let us know when you're ready.
Okay, I will.
All right. Stay well,
Have a great evening, and good to see you, Alan and Jimmy. And I guess that's it.
All right, guys.
All the best. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, and thanks to everyone for